Hey folks, in today's Conundrum we will cover the case of Edmund Emil Kemper III, also known as the Co-Ed Killer, an American serial killer who committed a series of gruesome murders in the early 1970s. Born in 1948, Kemper had a troubled childhood and a history of violence. He murdered his grandparents at the age of 15 and was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, leading to his institutionalization. Upon release at 21, Kemper targeted female hitchhikers, brutally killing them and engaging in acts of necrophilia. He also murdered his mother and her friend before surrendering to the authorities. Kemper was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment, as the death penalty was suspended in California at the time. His crimes coincided with those of another serial killer, Herbert Mullen, causing confusion during the police investigations. In total, Kemper murdered 10 people, primarily young women in Santa Cruz County, California. Edmund Emil Kemper III was born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California. He had a troubled childhood and exhibited early signs of antisocial behavior, including cruelty to animals and a fascination with death. Kemper had a close relationship with his father, but a severely dysfunctional one with his domineering and abusive mother. When his parents divorced, he was raised by his mother in Montana, where she subjected him to emotional and physical abuse. At the age of 14, Kemper ran away to live with his father, but was later sent to live with his paternal grandparents in North Fork, California, an unhappy experience for him. At the age of 15, on August 27, 1964, Kemper got into an argument with his grandmother, and in a fit of rage, shot her in the head. He then shot his grandfather upon his return home. Kemper called his mother, who advised him to contact the police, leading to his arrest. Psychiatrists diagnosed Kemper with paranoid schizophrenia, and he was committed to Atascadero State Hospital. These early events in Kemper's life set the stage for the dark path he would later follow, exhibiting signs of violence, troubled relationships, and a fascination with death and power. During his imprisonment at Atascadero, Edmund Kemper proved to be a model prisoner. Contrary to the initial diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia, other psychiatrists and social workers found him to be intelligent and introspective, with no signs of delusions or bizarre thinking. His IQ tests revealed above-average intelligence, with scores ranging from 136 to 145. Kemper gained the favor of his psychiatrists by excelling in his work and even administering psychiatric tests to other inmates. He became a member of the JCs and claimed to have developed new tests and scales during his time at the facility. Kemper admitted that his understanding of these tests helped him manipulate his psychiatrists, and he learned from the sex offenders he evaluated. On his 21st birthday, Edmund Kemper was released on parole from Atascadero, a mental institution where he had been held for his crimes. Against the recommendations of psychiatrists, he was placed in the care of his mother, Clarnell, and they resided in Aptos, California. Kemper, having demonstrated progress in rehabilitation, had his juvenile records expunged, giving him a semblance of a fresh start. However, life outside the institution was far from harmonious. Kemper struggled to escape the toxic relationship with his mother, with frequent heated arguments becoming the norm. He desired to become a police officer, but his large stature hindered his chances, earning him the nickname Big Ed. He found solace in the company of Santa Cruz police officers, becoming a familiar presence at the jury room, a popular cop hangout. Kemper worked various jobs, eventually finding employment with the State of California Division of Highways. Financial difficulties and strained ties with his mother led to him moving in and out of her apartment. During this period, he started noticing young women hitchhiking and began picking them up, allowing them to go unharmed. These encounters, however, planted the seeds of his homicidal sexual urges, which he referred to as his little zapples. Between May 1972 and April 1973, Kemper embarked on a horrifying murder spree. Posing as a kind driver, he targeted female hitchhikers, bringing them to secluded areas where he would brutally kill them. In total, he took the lives of 8 people, including his mother and her best friend. Kemper's psychiatrists and Kemper himself believed that the young women served as surrogates for his ultimate target, his mother. One of his earliest victims was Marianne Pess and Anita Lucchesa, two hitchhiking students he picked up on May 7, 1972. Kemper handcuffed Pess, locked Lucchesa in the trunk, and proceeded to stab and strangle them. He brought their bodies to his apartment, where he engaged in unspeakable acts before dismembering and disposing of them. Aiko Ku, a 15-year-old dance student, became Kemper's next victim on September 14, 1972. He deceived her into his car and then choked her unconscious, raping and killing her. Kemper took her body back to his apartment, engaged in necrophilia, and dismembered her remains. Cindy Schall, an 18-year-old student, met a tragic fate on January 7, 1973. Kemper shot her, brought her home, and engaged in sexual acts with her corpse. He then dismembered her body and buried her severed head facing his mother's room. Kemper's spree continued with Rosalind Thorpe and Allison Liu, two students he encountered on February 5, 1973. After fatally shooting them, he engaged in vile acts with their corpses before dismembering and disposing of them. Finally, on April 20, 1973, Kemper reached his breaking point with his mother. After a heated argument, he bludgeoned her to death, decapitated her, and engaged in necrophilia with her severed head. Kemper also killed his mother's best friend Sally Hallett to cover up the murder. Following the double murder, Kemper fled to Pueblo, Colorado, believing he was being pursued. Consumed by paranoia, he called the police, confessing to the murders of his mother and Hallett. Afterward, he waited for the authorities to apprehend him. Edmund Kemper's reign of terror had come to an end, as he surrendered himself to the police and confessed to the series of brutal murders he had committed. Kemper's arrest marked the conclusion of one of the most chilling killing sprees in American history. Edmund Kemper's trial took place on October 23, 1973. Despite his detailed confession, his defense attorney pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Kemper had made 2 suicide attempts while in custody. During the trial, 3 court-appointed psychiatrists found Kemper to be legally sane, despite his previous diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia. Kemper's defense argued that his actions could only be committed by someone with an aberrant mind, and that he suffered from multiple personalities. On November 8, 1973, the jury declared Kemper sane and guilty on all counts after 5 hours of deliberation. Due to the moratorium on capital punishment, Kemper was sentenced to 7 years to life for each count, to be served concurrently. He was sent to the California Medical Facility in Vacaville for his sentence. Kemper's diagnosis during the trial varied. Initially diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, he was later re-diagnosed with personality trait disturbance, passive-aggressive type, and then with antisocial, narcissistic, and schizotypal personality disorders. Psychiatrists noted his high intelligence and introspection, which contributed to his ability to manipulate others. While in prison, Kemper resided in the same block as other notorious criminals, including Herbert Mullen and Charles Manson. Kemper showed disdain for Mullen and manipulated him through tactics like throwing water on him and rewarding him with peanuts. Despite his crimes, Kemper became a model prisoner and took on responsibilities such as scheduling appointments with psychiatrists and working as a craftsman. He was also known for narrating audiobooks until his retirement in 2015 due to a stroke. Kemper has participated in various interviews, providing insight into the mind of a serial killer. FBI profiler John Douglas described him as intelligent and capable of rare insight for a violent criminal. Kemper expressed a desire to save others from committing similar acts and encouraged those struggling with violent thoughts to seek help. He has been denied parole multiple times since he became eligible in 1979, with his next eligibility in 2024. Since then, he has been incarcerated in the California Medical Facility in Vacaville. In conclusion, the case of Ed Kemper is a chilling and disturbing example of a serial killer and serves as a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of justice in society. If you are interested in delving deeper into true crime stories like the one surrounding Ed Kemper, make sure to subscribe to Conundrum. I encourage you to engage in the comments section, share your thoughts, and like the videos to support the content. Stay tuned for more captivating and thought-provoking content on my channel.